So you may be considering a move abroad, or maybe you've already made the move. And one of the things that concerns you the most is the cultural acclimatization. Yes, moving abroad can bring with it the challenge of cultural differences and culture shocks. And in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about 3 ways that you can move into your new life in your foreign country a little bit more seamlessly. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Patricia Brooks, and 6 years ago, I moved from Richmond, Virginia to the south of France. And now I help women who are ready to start the next chapters of their lives, living in their dream countries, move through fear and self-doubt so they can finally start living and thriving there. And today I'd like to share with you some thoughts I have about how you can better adjust yourself to the differences in culture once you move abroad. Now, one of the biggest cultural adjustments I had to make in moving abroad was in recognizing that personal space is very different here in France than it is in the United States. In the United States, in line at the grocery store, people give you your space. They're not right up against your back at the grocery store. And so for me, this was a big challenge because I had made an agreement in the United States that, oh yeah, there is a certain amount of distance that is okay to give somebody when you are around them in a public place. And in France, there is not that agreement. And so that's one of the things I had to adjust to. And it took me quite a while to get there. I'd say 4 or 5 years, guess maybe a year ago now, I had this aha that, oh, I am resisting and I dread going to the grocery store because I feel like when people are right next to me or right up against me, that they're disrespecting me. And that may be what it means in the United States to some of us. But here in France, that is not their intention. And so I had to come to a different kind of agreement that when I'm here, that if somebody is close to me, that they are not doing something intentionally to disrespect me. And once I had that aha, that made my life so much easier because once or twice a week when I'm going to the grocery store, I didn't have this anxiety hanging over me that, there are going to be people that are going to disrespect me again. No, there may be people who are going to be close to me in line, but you know what? This is not something that I need to take personally, and I'm living here, and so this is something that I need to start to agree to, or agree with, or accept. Now, I talk about agreements, and one of the things that I learned about adapting to a new culture is that understanding, accepting, and agreeing are keys to having a more stress-free assimilation. Okay, when I was starting to learn French or relearn French back in 2014, I recognized that learning a new language is learning to make new agreements about how words and phrases are put together. For example, if I was going to keep the agreement that I had that as in English, that you put adjectives, all adjectives, before the noun, and then I was going to speak French with that structure, that wouldn't work. It would be wrong. People would be confused. People might not understand me. And so I decided to make a new agreement that, well, when I'm speaking French, the adjectives don't always, or typically don't, go in front of the noun. And there's so many other agreements I had to make in learning the French language. But the good news is because I did that, I am able to speak French fluently. I'm able to read it. I'm able to write it. But had I kept that resistance, had I not made that new agreement, that would not be the case. And I think it's much the same with getting used to a new culture. If you are resistant to it, if you choose not to understand or accept and sometimes agree, it can be a hard road for you. So having said that, sharing that one really hard thing that I had to come to terms with, I'd like to share with you some ways that you can better adjust to a new culture. And the first way is by being in that culture, by traveling to the country you want to move to, spending time there. If you're going on a scouting trip, spend as much time there as possible and act as if you were living there. Don't go as if you're on vacation. Rent a place where you have to cook, where you have to go to the grocery store, perhaps find some opportunities to make friends, go to some meetups, and really try to immerse yourself in the culture so that you can get a sense of what some of those things might be that might rub you the wrong way or challenge the agreements that you have, so that you can look at yourself and see why you might be so resistant. And you can also start to do some research or ask questions about that so that you can accept more easily and start to play the game as the game is played in that new country. I won't ever forget that an American woman I met in Perpignan, she said, I was complaining about something, and she said, yes, but these are the rules of the game here. And so if you want to win, or if you want to have fun playing the game, you've got to learn the rules and play by them. And I think that's a little bit what I mean about, having that agreement, making those agreements, understanding what things need to be accepted and how you need to think about things slightly differently. All right, so that's the first thing. The first thing to do is to travel, to visit, to spend time, to feel and be as much of a local as possible so you can get a sense for what those things might be that you might need to work on. The second thing that I think is very helpful, that was helpful for me in terms of learning my new language, French, but I think it can also be helpful in acclimating to a new culture. And that is consuming content from the country that you're going to, whether it's movies or TV series or documentaries or news, just seeing how entertainment is made or put together and seeing what they think is funny and how they end their movies gives you great insight into how a people are and how a culture is and what their values are. And one of the things that I want to share with you today is that French channel, which is the #1 streaming service for French entertainment and French culture, has a special offer for you today. And they have the largest collection of French programming, French TV shows and series and documentaries and live news. And it is accessible to an English-speaking audience through English and French subtitles. And the programming is fabulous. I just recently watched a documentary called The Louvre is Moving. And it recounted the story in 2016 where there was a threat that the Seine would overflow its banks, and that the Louvre, which is very close, which has very precious artifacts and art pieces in the basement, would be flooded and would ruin these priceless pieces. So they got together, the team at the Louvre got together to craft a plan on how they're going to move these things out of danger's way. And it was really interesting. And it helped me to see how passionate the French are about their art and conservation and pulling together when times are hard. And that was really good to see. So if you think that French channel would be helpful to you with your cultural acclimatization or to help you with your French language skills, the folks at French channel have given me an extraordinary deal. Now through April 22nd, if you subscribe to an annual plan, you can get 30% off. Now, it's only available on the annual plan, but that is a tremendous savings. And if that interests you, be sure to check out the link in my description, or you can use the promo code Patricia30, Patricia30. That will help you if you're moving to France with the French language and with the French culture. All right. So that's way number 2, is to absorb the culture through entertainment, through media, through content. Now, quite recently, I started back dating here in France. Now, I've dated on and off here during the 6 years I've been here, and I was feeling a little bit hopeful. So I started this online dating again. And just 2 days ago, I was text messaging somebody I've been speaking to for a couple of weeks, and actually met him in person. And we talk on the phone from time to time. And in this text message, which was a response to a message I had sent earlier that morning, that was really heartfelt. I was feeling good. The sun was shining. And he responded, half jokingly, half not, "Where's my bisou?" Now, a bisou is, for those of you who may not know, is the French kiss. You may see people on the street kissing each other on each side of the cheek. That's a bisou. And oftentimes, when you're talking to somebody on the phone, they'll end the conversation with bisou, or the end of a text message may be ended with bisou. And I had failed to put the bisou in my message from that morning. And even though it was so heartfelt, what he saw was that I did not end it with this bisou, which he had grown accustomed to expecting because he's French. And so I realized that, I need to explain this to him. And it was quite easy. I was like, well, I'm not used to saying bisou. And in the situation where it's platonic now, but at some point might become more romantic, I don't want to mix signals. And so I'm not really sure what I'm saying when I say bisou to a man that I may become romantically entangled with, but am not there yet. And so I explained that in the text message, and later we had a conversation and he understood. But as I was explaining it, it felt like even if I were to tack that on to the end of my messages, it didn't really feel authentic to me, or wouldn't really feel authentic to me. Although that may be something that he needs and appreciates, and that I might have to decide at some point to do, even though it doesn't necessarily hold a certain meaning for me. And so I share that to say that the third way that you can really start to get a better understanding of the culture and ways to interact in that culture is by having conversations with locals. When you don't understand something, explain where you're coming from and you'd like to understand better. You'd like to respect the culture better. And you can have wonderful conversations that enlighten both sides. And so that is, I think, one of the best ways to really to learn and to start to accept and adapt to a new culture. Now, of these 3, which one of them do you think is something that you could see yourself doing? And let me know in the comments. All right. Well, that is all I have for you today. I hope that these ideas have given you a track to run on, something that will help you to ease your way into a new life, into a foreign country. And if you're moving to France, or if you enjoy watching French TV shows and series, be sure to take advantage of the promo code Patricia30 and get your 30% off an annual membership, annual subscription. And if you are watching this video after the 22nd of April 2024, you can still take advantage of a 15% discount by going to French channel and entering promo code Patricia15, Patricia15. With that, I'm going to leave it there. Take care and bye for now.